Go.
Hi, this is Scott, Killer 3-Cylinder on Insight Central. KLR3CYL is my online handle on insightcentral.net. This video is we're actually going to put the dash cluster back in and the bezel back on and the steering column back together. So this is the reassembly. There's the two plugs here that go in the back of the cluster. Those are going to plug in to the two green plugs here. And I'm just going to snap these in. And then this cluster is the one that we recently did the buttons on for the trip buttons. And then the cluster will slide back up in here. Get back in there. There's 4 screws that hold that back down. They're these 4 gold screws. And I got my little screw gun. So gently put those back in if you just till they're snug, or if you got a regular screwdriver. You can do it with a regular screwdriver. Number 2 Phillips. So we've got the cluster back in and it's plugged in. Now we're going to work on putting the dash bezel back in. So there's 6 plugs that need to be plugged back in on the dash bezel here. So we'll go ahead and get those plugged in here on the back side. Line up your plug, and when you put it in and push it down, listen for the click or the pop that it goes on there correctly. Might not be able to get the greatest camera angle on this side over here. It's a little hard. And all right, number 6, and we're snapped in. That's good. So now we're going to take the dash bezel and we're going to stick it back up here gently and get it lined up where it belongs. And we're going to just push it back down and in. It went in all the way around. So then we need to reinstall the 3 screws and the little filler part on the right side of the dashboard toward the center here. There's that. And then the little filler panel goes back on. And then we got the 2 little short screws that go straight up into the bezel here. Hold the bezel to the dashboard. Again, be gentle with this because these things become very brittle over time and you really don't want to break the plastic on these. I've seen a lot of these cars with broken plastic bezels up here around the top of the cluster. Okay, so I'm going to slip out of the car and onto my knees for a moment, make sure that the top piece of the plastic column cover is lined up on here correctly. So steering column, get a nut on here just to hold it for a moment. There's a 4 12mm headed nuts under here. Okay, so I got all the nuts started with my fingers, and then I'm going to make sure this top column cover piece is lined up on the column. It's pretty darn close there. Yep. And then I'm going to use the cordless impact gun and go ahead and take the column up. Okay, steering column's back in, and then we're going to slide this lower column cover back on. And the hard part of putting the lower column cover back on is making sure that you get around the ignition cylinder over here on the right side with this little grommet that goes around there, because the grommet seems to always want to hang up and catch you on that. So you want to get it up onto the lock cylinder with the grommet on there like that. And then when the two parts come together on top, they should kind of just click back together if you got everything lined up kind of right, just like we're getting lucky here. And then down underneath the column cover, there's 3 Phillips screws that go back underneath the column cover here. And there's 1, 2, and number 3's going in. There we go. So the dash buttons have been replaced on that particular cluster. The cluster's back in, the bezel's back on, steering column covers, the column's reinstalled, and the column covers are back on and tight. Thanks, I'm Scott on Killer 3 Cylinder on Insight Central. Please watch my other videos. Thank you.